Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing that Ipswich Town rebuild in the 2025 database inside of Football Manager 2024. So if you want to get access to this file, I'll leave it linked in the description, and let's get on in episode 1. So, season 1 of the Ipswich rebuild. As you can see, the club want us on the 5-year plan. They want us to avoid relegation from the Premier League. They want us to compete in both the AFL Cup and the FA Cup. So, in this point, we've also got to have a bold culture of not signing any players over the age of 30 years old. I like to have younger players on my team so I can rebuild them and focus on that as well. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look over the squad and we're going to go from there. As you can see though, we're starting with really low budgets. We've got nothing in the bank. 200k to be exact is in the bank. Overall budget is not looking very healthy either. 5 million in the bank. We have got to secure finances. If you have a little look at the projection, we have got potential of the balance going 28 million at the end of the season, rising up towards that 51 million by the end of season 25/26. They're expecting to give us a transfer budget of 40.5 million come the season of next. So hopefully we do get that budget and hopefully we can stay in the Premier League. In regards to the squad, this is what we're looking like. So as you can see, we've got some players in on loan. We've got Ben Godfrey, who's previously of Everton, obviously coming in on loan from Atlanta themselves there. We've also got that Calvin Phillips deal that is also available to us as well. So we'll look to utilise these kind of players in the areas. And we've also got Liam Delap, who's obviously really in form in real life at the moment. He's looking really good in Football Manager. This new database has gave him a bit of a buff. He's got much better potential, and he's got obviously that potential to be our number one striker should he score a lot of goals. We could look to cash in on him in the future as well. Obviously, being valued between 29 and 33 million pound, that will be a considerable amount of money to invest back into the first team. So we'll have to see how that pans out for this season. Tactic wise, this is sort of the tactic I've went with. As you can see, it's a sort of 4-2-1-2-1. I would like to say we've got that little shadow striker behind the striker, going quite attackive, obviously because of the way the formation is. What I'm going to do is when it comes to this all, we're going to be setting this up perfectly. So Liam Delap is going to be the player we're going to lock into his position and not going to change anything in regards to where he plays. Obviously, not having any sort of budget means that we can't really invest in the team. There is some players we'll look to move on. Once we've identified them, we'll come back and show you who those players are. So when it comes to the squad, it appears to be that we haven't got very many players we're going to look to move on. I've identified one target here, in Cameron himself here. He does look really good and probably does fit our formation. The only problem is he's 28 now and he's already listed, so his unhappiness is already going to be there. So what we're going to do is we're going to look to try and cash in on him and get some money in. Probably going to be a bit of a small transfer, maybe about 3 million, I would say, considering his values at 6.4 million. What I have went and done as well, though, is so if we go to transfers, I've also went to get ourselves some staff. So as you can see, I'm going to get myself a little technical director, replace the director of football, bring a new head of youth in, and also bring a new assistant manager in. As you can see, they're quite old in regards to the assistant manager I've brought in, also the director of football, so probably only have a few seasons with them. Long-term goals for this save is we're going to try our very best to become an established Premier League team, and hopefully in the long run we can challenge for that Premier League title. So we will see, and we're going to move on now to hopefully setting up the team to get the right staff in place and also get our director of football once appointed looking to sign some under 21s and maybe some under 18s just to bring some sort of new players into the club themselves. Only problem we've got at the moment is obviously the transfer budget is very small, so we're going to get into the season and hopefully we can start with an absolute bang. So, with a pretty good start pre-season, as you can see in our fixtures right now, you can see we've not conceded a goal yet. Yes, we've played against some really lower league sides, none of too significant experience to ourselves, but we are doing really well pre-season. As you can see in regards to our transfers, though, we have brought in two players on free transfers. I brought in Nathan Ferguson, who is an ex-Crystal Palace player. Hopefully he just adds a bit of sort of squad depth. Same with Fuso Mensah as well. He's also came in. Obviously Manchester United, moved to Bayer Leverkusen back in the day. These are just to add some really good squad depth to the team as well, and hopefully we can see them sort of be integrated into the side slowly but surely. On the outs though, we have seen the likes of Wes Burns going out. He went to Caligari in the Serie A, and we've also got Cameron Burgess. He's also disappeared as well and went over to La Liga, but the La Liga second division with Levante. So we've got a little bit of money in for those. Currently, finance-wise, we've got 3 million in the transfer budget, but obviously the wage budget is really a big concern for us at the minute. So we really still do not have a lot of money in. We are just trying to balance the squad out. As you can see, we've got a massive squad. Sam Mosley, I think that's pronounced. We are trying to move him out actively before the end of the transfer window. We'll see if that happens. If it doesn't, then we'll just see how we get on in the first few games of the season. So at the end of the transfer window now, as you can see, we're on the 1st of September. So Sam Mosley has went out on loan to Bournemouth, so he'll join Bournemouth until the end of the season. Unfortunately for us, there just wasn't enough player spots to allow him to be in our team after we signed the other kind of players as well. He's a fantastic player, do not get me wrong. It was our captain. It is a shame to let him go. He is 32 years of age. I would have preferred the cash, but he's going to get game time elsewhere. He would have been just sat doing nothing at our club. We just couldn't move him on a permanent transfer. In regards to incomings, our director of football's had a bit of fun. He's went and signed a few players, so as you can see, I'll go into the history right now. He brought in 2 free transfers. So as you can see, he brought in this young lad here who is from Sporting KC. So he came in on a free transfer. So director of football already starting to get to work with this. Hasn't got a massive amount of potential. Current ability's not amazing, but he'll do it with under 21 squad. We are trying to actively loan him out as well. And then he brought in this young lad. Once again, not a massive amount of potential and current ability. 20-year-old, under 21 squad, ex-Aston Villa player. So yeah, getting players like this in, maybe potentially loan them out and make a little bit of profit on them, flip them in a few years' time. But yeah, nothing much really happened in regards to transfers of incomings. Obviously, we didn't really have any money to spend. We did manage to sell some players and get some free transfers in, but transfer wages were just far too high, and we just had to balance the books a little bit better. In regards to our schedule, we started off really well in the Premier League. We suffered a 2-1 loss to Brighton in our first game at Brighton Stadium. So we started off really well. Delap getting the first goal. James Milner then ended up getting a penalty, and then Brighton put the game to bed in the 71st minute when they managed to basically win the game. Delap started really well in his first game, which is really good to see as well. And then we came up against Crystal Palace, as you can see, beating them 4-2 at home. It's fantastic. As you can see, Delap getting back on the goals scoring sheet again as well. Amari Hutchinson is really doing well at that shadow striker spot, as well as Jack Clark coming in and picking up the pieces. Nathaniel Klein, though, getting 2 goals for Crystal Palace is a very interesting one. We then came up against West Ham away from home, and this was a massive win. Once again, Liam Delap with 2 goals there, and even a young lad coming through there. So this younger sort of winger came in, free transfer. Started off really well. He came off with Jack Clark and he scored. So yeah, hats off to him. So yeah, massive win against West Ham, if I do say so. 3,000 away fans travelling as well. And then we played Gillingham in the second round of the EFL Cup and beat them 6-0. Liam Delap getting a hat-trick there. So his season has really set on fire. In regards to the Premier League, we are currently, as you can see, sat in 6th after just playing 3 games, getting 2 wins and 1 loss. Goals are flying in for us so far. As you can see, Liam Delap already second, just behind Erling Haaland on that top goal scorer chart. So that'll be it for the start of the transfer window. Hopefully, we'll come out strong at the end of the season and we'll see where we finish off. So, after getting some fantastic results when it comes to beating the likes of West Ham 3-0 away from home, we did have a very rough season. Liam Delap obviously stayed on top of form, getting some goals from elsewhere. We went on a very weird run of form in September, only picking up 6 points in those games. As you can see, we got 3 points against Southampton and 1 point against Everton away from home, beating Chelsea 1-0 in the third round of the EFL Cup. We then went on to play Chelsea at their home ground, where we successfully beat them 2-1. Lovely little ball over the top to Hutchinson, which sees goal number 1 in the back of the net. With Jack Clark playing this over to Chaplin, goes into Phillips, back to Jack Clark again, and where he makes it 2-0 to Ipswich Town. Chelsea, however, into the second half, strike from Nkuku, and what a fantastic finish that was. Finishing the game 2-1. After we beat Chelsea 3-0, we went on and played Wolves, which we lost 2-1 against, and then we went and lost Bournemouth 1-0 away from home, and then following that up with a loss to Brentford at home as well. Really rough patch of form to follow that up as well. As you can see, we then played a month against Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, and Brentford, where we picked up all 9 points we could have possibly picked up, and then following up to a 2-1 defeat to Manchester City in December. Sees us go through a very good patch of form after that, to then when we got beat 3-1 against Tottenham, which seen our form go into a bit of a downward spiral. As you can see, coming into January, we had a couple of draws in there, and we also had that massive win over West Ham again, 3-1 at home, which was absolutely fantastic. We then went on to beat Everton 3-0 at home as well, which really did start shaping up our season that little bit more until we were to face someone like Arsenal, which we got beat 2-1 away from home. We then didn't stop there. We started playing Manchester United, which we didn't get off to a really good start with, as they went up 1-0 with Bruno Fernandes scoring the goal. On the back of that, though, we didn't sit back. Johnson to Clark on that right-hand side goes through at the edge of the box. Hutchinson's there, and then Hutch comes on a rebound, and Hutchinson claims that goal by the looks of it. Then Manchester United did not settle for that. Delort runs down that right-hand side, whips it in. Terrible by our keeper, and Xerxes scores to make it 2-1 Manchester United. That result obviously finished in a 2-1 win to Manchester United, which was a very big shame considering the amount of shots we had and the way we sort of controlled the game that little bit more. Then, after the Manchester United game, went and finished 1-1 against Chelsea, to then further falling down the league by getting beat 2-1 against Wolves away from home. However, we then went into a big, big game. And then we went and played Bournemouth at home, which we absolutely tanked 5-0. Hutchinson starting off with that goal scoring, perfect from that right-hand side. Hutchinson with a free kick, and what a finish it was from the young lad. We then cleared from the edge of the box, went forward once again, and this is where Phillips put on through, and then we go 3-0 up against Bournemouth, which just made the game that little bit more cemented, and we just really did not hold back to just score more goals against Bournemouth, with Hurst putting through Chaplin, and Chaplin smashing that one in the back of the net against Kepa. And then we still weren't done. The 96th minute, Hutchinson with a lovely run from the midfield, takes it on the left-hand side there, and then as he goes down, he smashes it in the box, and there we go to seal it 5-0 against Bournemouth at home. We embarrassed them. After that Bournemouth win, we went out and played Newcastle United away from home and beat them 3-0, which was absolutely outstanding. Then played Nottingham Forest to win 2-1, and then followed that up with a 2-2 draw away from home with Brentford. Then we got absolutely destroyed by Manchester City at home by 3-1. Then went and beat Hull 4-0 and Aston Villa losing against them 2-1. We then played Leicester and won 3-1 away from home to the last 2 final games of the season, where we got beat 3-1 against Liverpool and 3-0 against Tottenham. However, after all of the ups and downs of the season that we experienced, we finished a really good position overall, in my opinion. So, after playing for the full season, 38 games, we managed to finish in 9th position. It wasn't just a case of just struggling to get 9th position, we pretty much stayed there the full season. As you can see, when we look at this league, we were always in and around. We never dropped towards the bottom half of the table. From sort of this point in the season, we stayed 9th all the way through till the end. We did absolutely fantastic to keep hold of that 9th spot, and what an absolute lovely first season in the Premier League for Ipswich Town this is. We can only build on this now, surely. The massive thing that we got at the end of the season, by the looks of it, was the transfer budget. The board are gifting us £59 million to spend next year. The overall budget and the transfer budget, as well as the wage budget, is absolutely fantastic going into the new season. The question is, though, which part of the squad are we going to invest in? Is it going to be the defence? Is it going to be the strikers? Is it going to be the midfield? We will not know until we come back to next season, which you can join me by hitting this like button on the video. Don't forget to leave a comment down below to let us know that you're enjoying this season's progress, and hopefully you'll enjoy the next one. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out when it's released, and we'll get it out to you as soon as possible. Thanks for tuning in, and well done, Ipswich.